Welcome back. Well, it's a fairly pleasant day on the bourses, you will have to say. It's about 0.9% on the Sensex and the Nifty, and the Nifty's crossed 8,300. That's important. Last seen on June 2nd. Actually, at this point in time, bonds, rupee and Sensex, or rather Nifty, are all at their June 1st, June 2nd level. So considerable amount of recovery in almost all asset classes, and it's banks that are leading the charge, 1.8% higher actually on the bank Nifty. And like I told you before, the top 6 gainers in the Nifty, or 5 gainers in the Nifty, are all banks. Bank of Baroda up 3%, Axis Bank 2.4%, Yes Bank 2%, Kotak Mahindra 2%, HDFC Bank 1.9%, and actually the 7th is ICICI Bank. So you can say that among the top 7, the top 6 of them are banking stocks, giving the bank Nifty such a huge bump up of 1.8%. And it's one among this set that we are going to concentrate now on. Yes Bank is the stock in focus. It's been in focus for the boardroom issues. None of it, of course, impacts the P&L and the financials, but nevertheless the boardroom has been an interesting story. And Mr. Rana Kapoor, founder and CEO of Yes Bank, is with us in the studio. Mr. Kapoor, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes.
Well, first up, a very fundamental question.
Yeah.
What kind of amendments will have to be made to the Articles of Association now after what we now realize is an interim judgment of the High Court?
Right. Now, Lata, as you know, Yes Bank is 11 and a half years old. When we started incorporating the company in November 2003, it was, a startup venture which had 3 promoter directors. Over the last 11 plus years, the bank has got fully institutionalized, naturally with capital raising and an IPO about 10 years ago, and sequence of capital raising events since then, the induction of independent directors. We have 7 out of our 10 directors are independent, and even our chairperson, Ms. Radha Singh and Mr. Srinivasan, were earlier independent directors, and Mr. Srinivasan is a very illustrious and highly respected regulator. So to reflect the character of the bank today as the Professionals Bank of India, naturally we need to refresh the articles. So a couple of things that need to be refreshed is the independence of the appointment of the chairperson, for instance, the MD and CEO, for instance, the right of the board of directors for it to be in tandem with the Banking Regulation Act and the New Companies Act, and also to be in conformity with the updated regulations of SEBI. So there are a lot of things that need to be updated. Also, we need to recognize and reward, some of our young leaders, to bring them on the board as whole-time directors. So there are actually a lot of business and governance justification to amend the articles, and that is what the Honorable Court has also noted.
Okay, no, before we come to that, so what is the current status of those 3 whole-time directors? Rajat and Pranay.
Yes.
Are they there, or are they...
No, there was a proposal, Lata, that, which was discussed in the board, subject to naturally Reserve Bank of India, approvals, and we have not moved the approvals because this matter has been sub judice, as you know, for a while. As we get more clarity, and we did get clarity in the recent, interim order, which justifies the fact that certain actions need to be taken naturally with approvals of the board, naturally with approvals of the shareholders body, and thereafter we need to institutionalize the bank more and recognize these directors. So right now it is in abeyance, pending final amendments to the articles.
Only those 3 people are in abeyance?
Yes.
Okay, yes. The other appointments will continue till 2016.
Well, as you know, all our directors are duly elected in AGMs, and widely so. They are naturally approved by the board of directors preceding that. So all the other directorships will continue as 4 directors were re-elected in the recent AGM, yes.
Okay. Can you give us a sense about the timeline of amending the Articles of Association? And we thought that, the appointment of directors, which was considered invalid, was with a 5-week stay. So, what happens post?
Well, let me clarify, because, there may be some wrong impressions. I think what the Honorable Court has noted is that fundamentally, if there are any minor errors in terms of the process involved, that can be rectified in the next 5 weeks. The fact is that the order was dated 4th of June. There was an AGM on 6th of June. There was a fresh election relating to 4 of the directors. All of them have been approved by a significant or overwhelming majority. So they stand totally regularized. So there is absolutely no impact in terms of the board of directors, for that matter, on the business itself.
Okay, now I want to come back to the amendment to the articles that you said you will be making.
Yes.
That will curb all promoter shareholder rights by giving board more rights.
Well, if you see the articles today and if you read them in conjunction with the Banking Regulation Act, distinctly there is complete freedom, complete empowerment of the board of directors to elect directors, independent as well as whole time. So we need to naturally update the articles to reflect the state of governance and the evolving regulations of RBI and SEBI and the New Companies Act. So yes, the answer is that the board is fully empowered to take all decisions in this regard.
Well, you will have to concede Mrs. Madhu Kapoor one victory at least, that at least she has ensured that the board is institutionalized more in the process of her challenging.
Well, Lata, I think we need to recognize that the bank, the board has absolutely nothing against Mrs. Madhu Kapoor. We respect her. She is the wife of our late non-executive chairman, Mr. Ashok Kapoor. It's just that I think there has to be an understanding that banks, being public trust institutions, they need to be institutionalized. These are not family estates. And particularly the character Yes Bank is adorned as the professional bank of India. And you can see the 11,000 employees we have in the bank today, with an average age of 31, so the character of the bank is not, a family.
I don't think Mrs. Kapoor was against board nominated people.
Yeah.
Her point was, if it is shareholder appointed, then she must have a right. I don't think her case was arguing that she is against board appointed directors at all. My sense is that you have to give her that much credit that ever since this case started,
I want to give
the bank has moved towards board appointed.
All of us, including me, my family, everybody meets on the same platform, which is the AGM. We all vote together collectively, and I think it must be realized and respected that there have been 3 AGMs since Madhu Kapoor and family filed this case against the bank, and in all of those, all director appointments and naturally all the business resolutions have been approved three times in the last 2 odd years with an overwhelming majority. So the business interests of the bank are being taken care of by shareholders, by the board of directors, and naturally the management. So I think it's respect for the process, respect for the fact that we are totally institutionalized. And please remember, in last 10 years, since we had the IPO, we are the best performing IPO in the last 10 years. So shareholder wealth accretion, if you see the order and the research notes that have come out in the last 2-3 days after the order was released, that all of them, without exception, points out that the bank is well managed.
Yes.
The board is a first-class board. The decisions.
I think I began by saying that the financial performance and the P&L performance has not been impacted by the boardroom issue at all. That's not my point at all. But let's just.
But if there is activism, unfortunately, and lack of respect for the bank's directors and its CEO's office and whole-time directors, then that is not in the interest of the bank. What is in interest of the bank?
You just said it didn't impact the bank at all.
In the sense that, you must realize that please respect, this is a holistic institution. That's all I ask Madhu Kapoor and family, respect the institution.
Okay, well, let me just come to this part. Do you suspect, is it not possible that when you amend the Articles of Association, Mrs. Madhu Kapoor may object to that, may even challenge that?
Well, anything is possible, but we have to move forward with positive energy and to reflect, as I mentioned to you, the institutional character today. The fact is that there are, guidelines, that there is a refreshment required in the articles to incorporate today's regulatory actions, and therefore if there are challenges, let them be. But the fact is the business of the bank should move forward.
Okay, so let me come back to my, first question. How soon are you likely to amend the Articles of Association?
Well, we have a board meeting towards the end of July, and, this will be discussed. And I assume that within this fiscal year, we should take it forward, naturally with some direction from the Honorable Court.
You gave us some broad idea that, the amendments will be such that the whole-time directors, one director will be allowed to become whole-time directors. Can you just give us a little more clarity on exactly what will be the amendments? How do you strengthen the board? What will be the promoter shareholder rights? And what will be the other changes we should expect?
I think we have to realize first and foremost there are 5 types of directors. Chairman and MD, which are naturally approved by the board and also approved by shareholders and Reserve Bank of India. Second category is whole-time directors, which I explained. Third category are independent directors. Fourth is non-executive, non-independent directors, right? None of these 4 categories of directors, as clarified in the Honorable Court's order, are impacted. So there is no impact. Directors under these 4
non-executive, non-independent,
non-executive, non-independent, all these directors can be appointed by the board of directors of the bank, and naturally, subsequently, were required by RBI and of course shareholders. Is only one category, which is Indian partner, which is like promoter, that requires a joint action. Now in effect, today, there is no such
seat,
promoter, director as such, on the board as a nominee. There is no nominee. Everybody practically, effectively is an independent director, and the chairperson is Radha Singh, and my appointments are additionally approved by Reserve Bank of India.
All right, sir.
So there is, in effect, no impact today.
Okay, well, Mr. Kapoor, I wanted to ask you something else, a little unconnected to the board issue, because ultimately your investors your investors also want to know about the bank. You and Kotak started together.
Yes.
But Kotak suddenly taken a giant stride with ING Vaishya.
Right.
Don't you feel like you've missed the bus? In terms of, look at the sudden difference in number of branches.
Well, I would like to believe that ours being a greenfield bank, practically 11 and a half years old, in itself is one of India's best growth stories, if you need an illustration of
I'm not disputing the organic growth.
Make it India, that in itself. If you see our CAGRs, particularly over the last, 7 years since the global crisis and Eurozone and India's own economic challenges, we have maintained growth rates in excess of 25 to 27%. And today we have 1% market share. The difference in Yes Bank is that we have a mission on quality. We have the ability to change gears when the economy is looking better. Naturally, we will speed in and hasten our rate of growth. And then at the same time, because of our strong risk architecture, the evolution of a risk culture, we will also moderate growth where warranted. So the model is organic. That doesn't mean that we are not receptive. For example, in our securities business, even in our asset management business, where there are more attractive targets available, we may look at them.
You are not looking at targets in banking?
Well, the ability of the bank to grow, as I mentioned to you, and we have now, a vision, a strategy for the next 5 years. We believe that, give or take, with the improvements, steady improvements in the economy, a bank like ours should be able to grow 27 to 30%. So any external infusion which could compromise the quality of our HR could in a way impact the quality of our overall architecture may be somewhat invasive. I think we need to demonstrate our ability to grow at 27 to 30% a year next 5 years. If there is an opportunity to amalgamate and where HR can be, the ethos can be protected, we'll be receptive.
Okay, but just a word back to the Kapoor versus Kapoor issue on which we invited you.
Yes.
You see that tussle still going on. It is going to, to be with us for a bit now.
Well, it's difficult to predict because, the Honorable Court has given a very significant order which rests most of the issues involved. There are 1 or 2 process-related issues, as I mentioned to you, the central issue is updating and refreshing the articles. And if that is done to the satisfaction of all the shareholders, because this is not just one family, will please remember to repeat, professional interests of the bank as reflected in the voting over the last 3 AGMs, practically 90% of shareholders are aligned with the board and management. That to me is the moot point here.
Okay, that point is taken. I mean, I don't think that was objected to. It is just that it was a shareholder
And
promoter
my
rights.
friend Cyril Schroff also on your channel last week clarified that, there is a process, and the fact of the matter is that governance is not impacted. You tell me which board has 7 independent directors, on the board, right?
Right. Mr. Cyril Schroff clearly said, I'm now talking as Yes Bank's counsel as well. No, in any case, I mean, the point is taken.
He has a great reputation to say the right things.
The point is taken that the performance of the bank was not impacted. Mr. Kapoor, it's a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you
Thank you very much for dropping by. And just to add, yet again, the markets thumbs up for the 7th straight day, and this time led unambiguously by the Bank Nifty, up 1.85%. A lot of trading ideas out there coming for you on Traders Only in a minute. Thanks for watching Bazaar.
CNBC TV18, celebrating 15 years of leadership.